To explore this issue in greater depth, we have invited to our studio today Ms. Lan Pham, Population Development Team Leader at UNFPA, United Nations Population Fund. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this debate.
Now, according to reports, a population of people of 60 years of age or older has outnumbered the number of children under 5 years old. So how will the situation of people aging unfold in the future?
We are touching a very important issue. As you know, according to a report released by WHO in 2020, the number of older persons 60 plus was outnumbered children under 5 years of age. There were about 1 billion older persons in 2020. It was forecasted that by 2050, the number of older persons will double, which means there will be about 2.1 billion older persons aged 60 plus in 2050.
Which regions are experiencing the fastest pace of aging, and what are the main drivers behind population aging?
Demographic transition is inevitable. It is happening all around the world, but at different speeds. The continents that have a more stable population aging include Europe, America. On the other hand, some other continents experiencing more rapid population aging, like in East Asia, Pacific, in South Asia, for example.
And the pace of aging, as you said, differs significantly between regions. So what is the tipping point that pushes a country from rapid aging to hyper-aging?
This is a very interesting question. The driver of population aging is declining fertility. The increased number of older persons is really a significant progress of socio-economic development of a country. It is the result of advances in medical care, in poverty reduction, in social protection. All these are the main drivers of population aging, but it's also show the national progress in socio-economic development of the country.
As many countries grapple with rapid population aging, a growing reluctance to have children is emerging as a critical part of the story. Nowhere is this more evident than in China, which recorded its first population decline in 6 decades in 2023, a trend that continued with a further drop in 2024. The problem is that despite policy shifts encouraging larger families, many young Chinese say they are unwilling or unable to have more children.
China was the world's most populous country from 1950 until 2023, when it was surpassed by India. In 2024, the country recorded its third consecutive year of overall population decline, despite a slight uptick in the birth rate, the first in 8 years. A 2024 UN population prospect report projects that China's population, now around 1.4 billion, could fall to 1.3 billion by 2050 and drop further to about 633 million by 2100. But many residents aren't surprised by this.
I think the population decline for us is actually historical inevitability, because as our country's economy grew, so did our per capita GDP. So any country's declined population follows a boost in per capita GDP growth. And as people's living standards improve, this will result in people's unwillingness to go through with the responsibility or pressure of having children.
China officially abandoned its one-child policy in 2016 and introduced a three-child policy in 2021. The country has also introduced a range of measures to encourage more births, including financial incentives such as subsidies and tax breaks, extended maternity leave, and expanded childcare services. But many people remain reluctant to have additional children.
It is not that any policy discouraged me from having a second child, nor is there anything about the country that made me reluctant. I simply have my career, and I have ambitions that I want to keep striving for.
We have 4 parents combined between us. We also have grandparents. We need to take care of at least 4 elderly people. Now the government is encouraging us to have 3 children. We simply can't afford it. If we have a 3rd child, who would take care of the baby?
According to the latest report, China's fertility rate stood at 1.09 in 2024, well below the 2.1 that would maintain the size of the population.
We've just heard several reasons why many Chinese women do not want to have more children. How do you feel about this?
In State of the World Population Report produced by UNFPA, declining fertility are driven by different socio-economic barriers and largely influenced by economic barriers like in job insecurity, high living costs, high childcare costs, housing costs, etc. In addition, there are also social factors like gender inequality, where men are often expected to be the breadwinner of the family. They are expected to have a house, to have a car, and to have other economic conditions before getting married. Meanwhile, women are expected to be good at housing, to be good at doing housework in the family, to be good at generating high income. So everyone is expected to be doing a lot of work, which means they cannot sacrifice. So what they can sacrifice personally is to delay family formation or delay having children.
Yeah, so from what you said, one gender expects the most from the other gender, is that right?
Yes.
Some economic models suggest that population aging could reduce the GDP growth by 0.5 to 1 percentage point annually. So how does that happen?
According to forecasts, yes, the population aging can have some socio-economic implication. The economic implication, as what you said about like the reduced GDP or increased pressure for social security or pressure for health care, for long-term care. But what we can do about this? Because we cannot wait until like people are old and you provide support. You need to prepare the society so that they are able to cope or to adapt to population aging before reach their old age. It means the government should pay attention not just to older person, but also to future older person.
Now, we've been looking at some of the more challenging consequences of population aging, from the pressure it places on healthcare systems to the strain on pensions and the shrinking of the labor force, as well as measures. But the picture is, of course, broader than that. Around the world, researchers are also examining how societies can adapt and what opportunities might emerge as demographics shift. And to widen our conversation, we are joined by Christopher Knott, lecturer of gerontology at the University of Vector, Germany. Christopher, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for including me in this debate.
Germany is among the most rapidly population aging societies in Europe. So in your view, what are the main drivers behind this?
It's a very interesting question, and the answer to this question is actually there's an easy answer and there's a very difficult one. So the easy one is that it's the result of 2 factors. One is that there's rising life expectancy happening in the past few decades in Germany, which is actually good news. It means that people can expect to live long and relatively healthy lives. At the same time, the birth rate is below the reproduction level. What happens is that the society is starting to shrink, and at the same time it shifts towards the older percentage of the population. And this, together, rising life expectancy and low birth rates, is causing the society as a whole to gradually age. At first, it's a very slow process, and then as time goes by, it's actually intensifying.
In which areas are the impacts of population aging most clearly seen?
Well, different areas that are affected by population aging, they have a big range. So on the one hand, economically speaking, population aging is weighing heavily on growth and productivity. And there's a so-called old age dependency ratio, which means that for every 3 working age adults in Germany right now, there's 1 person aged 65 or older that has to be taken care of by this working age population. So there's that puts tremendous pressure on the pension system in Germany. So this pressure on the so-called pay-as-you-go pension system is in a sort causing a lot of discussions within Germany right now, how to modify this pay-as-you-go pension system. To explain that, it means that the people currently working are paying a part of their income for not their own pension, but the pension of the people who are receiving it right now, of the older part of the population, in the hopes that when they get old, someone else will take their place and pay for them. These hopes are currently under a lot of strain because, as people can see, there are more and more elderly people coming. On the other hand, you have, of course, increasing costs of healthcare and long-term care in Germany, because more older people means higher costs to sustain healthcare and to sustain long-term care.
What key policies or strategy has the German government adopted to respond to population aging, and what has proven most effective?
Okay, for one, Germany tried to gradually increase the retirement age. I mentioned before that we have a mandatory pension scheme in Germany, and the age at which point people can enter that pension system, it's gradually increasing now up until 67 years of age. And in addition, or actually before that, long before that, in the 1990s, 1995 to be exact, Germany introduced a mandatory long-term care insurance. Then, in addition to that, we have implemented a range of family policies. They range from parental leave for mothers just recently giving birth, also fathers nowadays, and certain things that increase the availability of childcare and alleviate the costs of childcare. Neither the long-term care insurance nor parental leave or whatever measure the German government has tried so far has completely alleviated the pains that come with an aging society.
Once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for including me in this debate.
So we have just heard some opinions from a German expert regarding population aging, its impacts, and the possible solutions and strategies of the German government in responding to population aging. So in your view, in the whole world, what countries are proving that they are productive in managing population aging, and what are the main drivers behind that?
As you can see, population aging is a global mega trend. And I can share some good examples of how other countries are responding to population aging, to the need of older person, increasing number of older person. For example, in South Korea, they have introduced migration policies, drawing more international labor migration to address the labor force gap in the country. The South Korea government also introduced flexible retirement scheme where older persons still can work after the retirement age. The South Korean government also introduced business-friendly policy where workers can balance with their family responsibilities. So all these enabling environment factors can help individual and couple to fulfill their family responsibilities and also contribute to economic growth of the country. Sweden can also be a good example through intergenerational solidarity. In Sweden, the government introduced the different community-based intergenerational solidarity where older persons are encouraged to stay in houses of other family. They welcome older persons to stay if they want for a certain period of time, if the family are away for a certain time periods. There is also age-friendly environment, like ensuring all the facilities in the public are accessible by older person. So you see that older person remain very active and supported by an enabling environment surrounding their life.
As the global population continues to age rapidly, older adults today are not only living longer but also living healthier, more active lives and continuing to contribute meaningfully to society. Across many parts of the world, aging is no longer associated with passive retirement. Instead, seniors are seeking out and shaping new, vibrant ways of living with purpose and energy.
At the Miss Universe Korea 2024 competition held in September, contestant Choi Soon-hwa attracted widespread attention by entering the pageant at 81 years old. Having modeled since the age of 70, Mrs. Choi remained confident, even while competing alongside women young enough to be her granddaughters, and she received strong support from the Korean public. In 2023, Miss Universe Korea removed the upper age limit for contestants. The move signals that the Korean entertainment industry is beginning to take the senior demographic seriously, a group that could play a notable role in the next wave of the Hallyu culture bloom.
I've won in the second half of my life. In the first half, I simply ran around without achieving much. But in the end, I found success later in life. I hope my story gives courage to many other seniors.
In Japan, Teruo Sugiura spends 4 days a week working at a sliding door repair workshop in Tokyo. He is one of around 7 million Japanese seniors who have returned to work after retirement.
I enjoy working here and I like this company.
As people are living longer, there's also some scope for longer careers. And while raising the official retirement age is one option, in line with life expectancy, we could also see individuals choosing to retire later voluntarily.
The IMF also recommends gradually raising the retirement age, expanding flexible work arrangements for older workers, investing in reskilling, and promoting healthy lifestyles from early adulthood.
Regarding the population aging issue itself, do you think that we should slow down the aging process or we capitalize on the social and economic opportunities for the older population?
We need to create an enabling environment for couple and individual to make their informed choices about family formation, about having children. In this context, we need to capitalize on population aging by identifying opportunities that arise, by identifying new businesses that arise from having increasing number of older persons in the society, and by engaging the older person in different aspects, in different sectors of the economy. That would be the mutual benefit for both older person and for other population group in the society.
So as for the case of Vietnam in particular, what recommendations do you have as the country prepares to address population aging?
So, you know, Vietnam is also a rapidly aging society. Nowadays, there are about like 16% of older person, and we are expecting the country to become an age society in 2036. So what does it mean? What would be the policy implication for Vietnam? First is to shift the narrative, meaning we need to change our mindset from seeing population aging as a threat to make it as an opportunity. And what are the opportunities? It's about like creating employment opportunities for older person, creating an enabling environment so that new businesses can be developed to utilize to meet the demand of this increasing number of older person. And based on that, we need to introduce a two-pronged approach to develop targeted intervention for the older person and also to target the future older person. The most of the older person rely their support on their children, and that means children have like a double or triple burden On the one hand, they have to support their family. On the other hand, they support themselves, and they also need to support their children. So, we need to identify approaches that can support younger person to participate in the labor market, but also to support older person and support children in different aspects in education, in healthcare, and others. For the older person, we also need to consider how they can be active in the labor market even after the retirement age, because other countries also show that older person, even after the age of 65, they are still able to contribute to the society. So there must be flexible post-retirement policy for older person, encouraging them to contribute and to work as far as they want.
Once again, thank you, Ms. Lan from UNFPA for your valuable insights.
Thank you so much.